Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let me tell you something, folks. If this nonsense about Xbox Game Pass doesn't stop, the internet's going to have to start mooing, because these influencers just will not stop milking the living daylights out of this thing. This has been ridiculous the whole way through. I'm not even going to say it. This got ridiculous a long time ago. But like I said, the internet hive mind is not smart at all. There are so many suckers out there that just don't want to wake up from their delusional little reality that these influencers just don't care about them. All they want is clicks and watch time. And they will throw the truth out the door if that means that they can get eyeballs on them. And they'll just do it very, very stealthily, so hopefully their audience doesn't notice that. Now, I say that influencers are lying about Xbox Game Pass. How are they doing so? Lying by omission. They are omitting details, and they are distorting whatever will get the most eyeballs on them. You know, Xbox has supposedly been in this big Armageddon since the price hike, which is only, by the way, on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Xbox Game Pass PC. However, now that I've done some more digging, I found some questionability in the whole price hike for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I think it might actually be a problem with bundling. Now, there's yet another thing. If you have a formal business background, you've learned about product bundling and the problems it causes, because consumers like myself have to sit there scratching my head deciding, do I really want to pay this? Am I really going to make use of all the products being sold to me as this package deal? And so I can tell you right now, I'm nothing special. And yeah, there's a lot of people that have tried to cancel Game Pass, but do you know for certain that it's all rage over one tier getting a real price increase and another tier getting a price increase through bundling, and not simple confusion? See, that's a problem, is when people assume malice when they don't have the evidence to back that up. But that doesn't matter on the internet. When you can make people mad and get people to watch your videos, you go for it. That's what these influencers are doing. And I've been very quietly documenting that since this whole thing snowballed. Eventually, after seeing all the dislike bombing and the nasty comments that my video got, which, like I said, the internet hive mind isn't smart, I was expecting all of that. After seeing the usual internet nonsense dogpile my own video, the same way that Microsoft's getting dogpiled by all these angry influencers, I started keeping track. I said I watched 15 videos. I made a post, my first one anyways, when I hit 30 videos. It is now Sunday afternoon, 1:44 in the afternoon Eastern. And the playlist that I made for Xbox Game Pass Mageddon is up to 166 videos. If the algorithm sends me something that looks like it's tied to this Xbox Game Pass meltdown, I put it in the playlist. And am I going to watch all of this? Maybe someday, if I'm really bored and I need that much background noise. But I can tell you there is probably a ton of redundant stuff in all of these videos, because some of it is just how YouTube works in general. Everybody who wants to make a video about something is probably going to have stuff that they're saying that's the same as everybody else. That's been the thing since the beginning. But this whole FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and sitting here like doomsday prophets about Xbox to fish for clicks and stuff, folks, that is no way to live. If you live that way, you're going to be overly anxious and overly stressed for stuff that may not even pan out. Better to just deal with the nonsense when it actually pops up, instead of Xbox did something you didn't like. Xbox is dead. Well, if you count the disastrous launch of the Xbone with the TV thing, Xbox has been dying for over a decade, so this is the slowest death ever for a brand, which isn't gonna die anyways. It's just markets change, and with it, companies change too. You're like, oh, $1 trillion corporation. Yeah, well, guess what? If there's anything, if you actually learn about business, then you'll know no company, no matter how invincible they look, is ever truly invincible. Yeah, Microsoft's going nuts with cloud stuff, and I don't blame them. They're going nuts with AI, and I don't blame them. Why? Because that's where everything is going. If they want to not get blockbustered, they have to do this. Same thing too with, national stuff international stuff as well. If we don't have strong American companies in the tech sector that are able to throw some weight around, who we're going to lose to? The EU, China, whoever else gets in there. And it is a zero-sum game, whether we like it or not. But that's also life. It's a zero-sum game, whether we like it or not. So, yeah, 166 videos and counting. And I always have to wonder about all of this. It's like, I always have to wonder. People think because I think for myself, I'm automatically a Microsoft shill. Really? How about this then? They said they couldn't come up with a good name for Game Pass Ultimate. Well, a little Photoshop goes a long way. But I have joined the crowd of people that have canceled Game Pass because I can't really figure out what I want from them anymore. Microsoft used to make it so simple with a somewhat pricey $20 a month subscription. But you know what? I budget for MMOs at like $15 a month, so $30. I'm not so sure if it's really worth $30, especially with the bundle services that are involved. Speaking of which, it's interesting. You want to talk about how the influencers take advantage of what you don't know. Here's a wonderful example of that. We talk about bundled services, bundled services are why Ultimate got more expensive. Okay. Have you looked at these bundled services? Because I look at this and I see Netflix all over again. If you remember, once upon a time, Netflix was the be-all, end-all of video streaming services. Then the technology got mature enough and the market got populated enough with people that would buy this stuff. Now that we knew people like this stuff and they actually want to buy it, that rights holders started forming their own streaming services. And now we can say we've probably gone too far in the other direction, with every rights holder on the planet having some kind of subscription service. All the plus services, Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, ESPN Plus, although Disney's about to pull the plug on Hulu and destroy the brand. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody has a freaking service. Now we can't figure out which one to subscribe to anymore. Or, it's just too much work to toggle things on and off. You're better off just getting your content through other means. And I'm going to be nice and say that everybody's going back to physical media, but you know as well as I do, that ain't the case. And we're just going to leave it at that. Folks, here is another thing that the influencers who just flip out about stuff on Twitter or whatever haven't been telling you. Microsoft is terrible for putting a premium on day one access to their stuff. Here's Ubisoft Plus. People are thinking, Ubisoft Plus is in there. Ubisoft Plus is similar to Game Pass now. There are multiple tiers. You have a basic tier and you have a premium tier. The basic tier is the classics. This is the one that's included in Game Pass Ultimate. We'll just say it's $8 a month because the 99 cents thing is one of the oldest tricks in the book. But look at Premium. Ubisoft Plus Premium, $17.99. Let's just round it to $18 a month for new releases day one and early access when available. By itself, just Ubisoft. Although you can get a discount if you buy a year of Ubisoft Plus. EA. Nope, that's not what I want yet. We can use one of the numbers, though, because I can't see it on here because I'm still a Game Pass Ultimate member for now. But that's good. EA Play, $6 for the first tier. Before everything crashed on the Series X, I was given the option to subscribe to just EA Play. But if you go up to the Pro thing for $17 a month, now you have full access to premium versions of the EA stuff on day one, like when Battlefield 6 comes out or some new Sims stuff comes out or whatever. EA Sports, if you play every EA Sports game under the sun, EA Sports, it's in the game. If you play all of those EA Sports games, maybe this is worth it. I don't know. But this is the thing, though. Both Ubisoft and EA, both of these companies are charging premiums for being able to play their games on day one. But Microsoft is the one getting the firestorm for doing what the other big guys are already doing. Now, I figured that Microsoft went on a shopping spree to buy all those studios to make Game Pass as robust as possible in anticipation of this rights holder squabble. Let me get the picture out of the way here so you can see. Bada bing. Let's go down to this corner. Play Pro, $16.99 a month. But if I go back to the Ubisoft thing, oh no, it works. So EA and Ubisoft are both doing this independently on their own. Where's the firestorm? Why is Microsoft getting the firestorm? Oh, it's the best value in gaming. Maybe. Maybe, just maybe. The problem I have with Game Pass Ultimate, though, is I can't justify the bundling. Because I don't think I'll make enough use of the bundled stuff in order to justify $30 a month. Here's the hard numbers when it comes to, and I made sure to look all these up and post it on X, but here's the hard numbers when it comes to Lame Pass Ultimate. Gotta love it. $6 for EA Play first tier. That's the retail price. Ubisoft Plus Classics is $8. Fortnite Crew is $12. Assuming Microsoft failed badly at the negotiating table and didn't get a bulk discount, this means only $4 out of your $30 a month is actually for Game Pass. So I will assume that Microsoft isn't hanging themselves out to dry, and they were able to score bulk discounts for Game Pass members who would be willing to pay for all these bundles. But I can't justify Fortnite Crew. I don't hardly do anything in Fortnite, just for the hell of it because of the hoopla. On Friday night, I went to the Daft Punk experience in Fortnite. Hung out in like the nightclub, the virtual nightclub, listening to Daft Punk songs instead of playing Fortnite for real. I could play Fortnite for real, but I tend not to. But I can't justify this. I can't justify Ubisoft Plus Classics when a lot of the like Assassin's Creed and other games go on sale on Steam on a very regular basis. And they're usually part of very aggressive Steam sales or publisher sales. And for EA Play, I don't play sports games. I play Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, which I got super cheap in a Let's Compete with Steam sale. I actually just bought the DLC and upgraded my Battlefield 1 installation, paid somewhat close to regular price for that, but not for the base game. And for Battlefield 5 Definitive Edition, they had some wild sale a while back, probably because everyone was hyped about Battlefield 6, so they were selling the old game for cheap. And I got like Battlefield 5 Definitive Edition for like $2 from EA. I've been finally getting my money's worth with all this hoopla about EA and Lame Pass Ultimate, but and getting back into Battlefield in general as well as other shooters like Call of Duty. But I can't justify this. And here's the thing. Going over what Microsoft is offering for Game Pass on the lower tiers, there are no bundled services. So maybe, if I'm interested enough, mid-tier Game Pass plus level 1 Ubisoft Plus, because I don't really need, not Ubisoft Plus, EA Play. Do I need that, though, when I've just purchased retail copies of Battlefields 1 and 5 and I'm not interested in anything else? So, no, I really don't know what I want anymore. And the reason why I canceled my Game Pass sub now, I was thinking of going cheapo tier, and I was also thinking of going mid-tier, but now I have no tier. I completely canceled it. Well, the reason is I really don't know. Here's how I justified subscription services previously, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. If it works out to where, I can experiment with a lot of games and only buy the ones I want at a discount, then I'll do it. I mean, there was a predecessor to all of these console services, specifically GameFly, who runs like disc Netflix, 1 rental at a time, 2 rentals at a time. It costs roughly the same, but the idea is you try what you want and you flip discs in through the mail, and then you get a discount if you want to buy the game. So you can just keep doing that sort of stuff and hit keep if you want to keep the game. So But that uses snail mail and physical media. Maybe some of you folks build GameFly libraries. I don't know. I only know GameFly because it was promoted many years ago with some of the old shows I used to watch, like Techzilla and HD Nation. But it's still around, and it absorbed probably the remaining business for disc Netflix when real Netflix shut down their movie business. They do movies now. So, but here's the thing. I can't justify this bundle palooza. And the economics of the way it used to work was I would justify Game Pass because I used to pay for MMOs. I used to pay for MMOs, and I was like, wait, one game for $15 a month versus a bunch of games for $15 a month, that seems to make sense. But when you start throwing in bundles that I can't figure out how I'm going to enjoy them, then I can't justify the expense. So those of you that think I'm just blindly defending Microsoft, absolutely not. I canceled my service because I legit don't know what I want to have anymore. So yeah, I mean, the influencers, they're flipping out to make you mad, so you'll be mad all weekend as long as the negative hype lasts and they can rake in the eyeballs and the ad revenue and the engagement. But that's no different than, say, if it bleeds, it leads on traditional media. And this is something I'm just sick and tired of, because if I got upset at everything that internet talking heads got upset about, I would probably not still be around, because stress is pretty bad for you in the long run. And we got enough nonsense in our lives. We don't need more stress when we're trying to find something entertaining to watch on YouTube. Never mind when the algorithm is sending, oh, there's this big news thing, so let's send literally everybody's video about the thing. And then, of course, when not flooding me in videos about how much Xbox sucks, I'm getting the GTX 680 promotional video from 13, 14 years ago. It's another post I made. But yeah, I can't justify Game Pass Ultimate, and Microsoft took what once was a sure thing and they've turned it into something I just can't even figure out anymore. And then there's the whole thing of paying for online for console, that with what's going on with gaming handhelds setting a baseline for PC gaming, I can't imagine that's a value proposition for much longer, because when there's an entry-level PC tier with the handhelds and then eventually laptops for slightly less portable gaming handhelds with the same power to handle games at 1080p, then I don't know how many more years our current our current business model has left. Those of us who remember the classic consoles of the 2000s, we're a long way removed from the 360 and the PS3 and how things were done back in those days. And I can tell you, as a PC gamer, if you don't stay open-minded to these kinds of changes, you are going to have meltdowns like so much of the internet is having right now when things change. But you know what this is? This is just Blockbuster all over again. Some people are just in denial that things change over time. And even Netflix, because I've been through this grand disappointment with streaming services before. I used to be a Netflix aficionado until Reed Hastings had the genius idea of taking their comprehensive streaming and disc service and splitting them up. So if you wanted what you had before, never mind this 50% price increase for Ultimate. If you wanted what you had before with old school Netflix, you were paying double, because there were like $8 a month subscriptions for discs and streaming, whereas they used to be together. Wall Street loved it. Me, that was the end of the glory days of Netflix for me, as far as I was concerned. And oh yeah, Quickster, I was there. I remember that failed attempt to rebrand disc Netflix as not Netflix, essentially. But that went nowhere, and they just switched it back to Netflix. Until the business died with the decline of physical media and other stuff. But yeah, folks, influencers are still lying by omission. They're presenting the same stuff over and over again, freaking out about it over and over again, to try and make you mad over and over again, to give you something that gives you reasons to keep eyeballs on them. But as we've seen with the numbers, and as we've seen with what's going on in the rest of the industry, and by the way, the rest of the industry, where's the firestorm for EA? Where's the firestorm for Ubisoft? Where's the firestorm anywhere else? All Microsoft's really doing is falling in line. Now, I don't like that, because I really don't need to be playing brand new games when they first come out, and they're all buggy and whatnot, so I'm not going to pay for it. And neither are a lot of other people. So no, I'm not sitting here being, Mr. Brown-Noser for Microsoft. I don't see the value in Game Pass Ultimate. Lastly, let me just mention something for those of you Zoomers who missed the heydays of PC gaming on physical media with CDs and stuff. So the way it used to work, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not flipping out as much as the influencers are about what's going on with Game Pass. The whole day one thing and the beta on release thing, we've talked about it a lot with this discussion. Here's the thing. In the heydays of CD-based PC gaming, when there was DRM all over the place and it sucked, Games for Windows Live, the Vista of PC gaming, it was quite well known that games were beta on release back then, too. And you would probably have to go onto the web, of all places, and noodle around for a patch, download and install patches for every single PC game that you had, because they were hosted on web pages. They weren't pushed down through software repositories or systems or services like what we have today with Steam. You had to go get them and download them on like slow DSL or something, or dial-up even, and save them somewhere on your computer and apply them. If you ever had to reinstall the game, you had to remember where you put the damn patch and reinstall it, assuming the website didn't go down. So, but it was pretty well known, even back then, in those days, that it wasn't really worth it with beta on release type crap to play games when they first came out. You'd wait until the Game of the Year edition that included all the DLC on one thing, and that was your best value in gaming. So, yeah, if you fell for the marketing crap about, best value in gaming with Game Pass, I'm sorry. You're too gullible for marketing. You need to forget what the marketers are saying, forget what the cringy videos that these corporate suits are saying. You need to look at what's being presented to you and decide for yourself without some slick suit going for a bonus, trying to get you to think a certain way or repeat something on the internet like, best value in gaming. This whole thing of keeping your head on straight and being skeptical of new software until it's patched properly, or in the case of the old school CD games, when you could get the DLC all on one disc and install it all at once and not have to fish around the internet for patches, updates, or rotate multiple discs to install all your expansions. When everything was on one disc in the heydays of PC gaming on disc, you got that one, and you just lived happily ever after. So it's nothing new. The whole skepticism that I push for with this whole service thing and new releases, nothing new whatsoever. One last thing. We've talked about how the rest of the industry is charging premiums for day one access, much like Microsoft is, and they're not getting the firestorm. You know who hasn't done that? I made sure to double, triple check this. PlayStation. PlayStation Plus has never had this kind of a component. They're a cheap knockoff of Game Pass with the comprehensive service you pay monthly for, and you pay more to access more tiers of stuff, but there's no bundled stuff, and there's no bundled stuff, and there's no day one access. So if there is a corresponding PlayStation Plus price increase, they'd better be bundling stuff, otherwise what PlayStation does will be pure greed. We can argue about whether Microsoft bit off more than they could chew with bundling for Game Pass Ultimate. But PlayStation Plus doesn't have that kind of stuff. And I don't think it ever did. Sometimes there'd be EA games added and removed, for example, from PlayStation Plus. But bundling the actual tier itself to where you count as like an EA Play standard subscriber, I don't think I've ever seen that from PlayStation Plus. So I will actually be more upset if PlayStation is like, well, we got to raise prices again, because their service has quietly been apples and oranges versus Game Pass. And you can bet that anybody who follows the facts of this, as opposed to the freakouts on the internet, should have a lot more to say about Sony doing something than what Microsoft has done here. As always, keep your head on straight. This is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.
It's a game over for the underdog. PlayStation's reign came on strong. King on strong.